Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. It is May 23rd, 2019. Got a little warm today, didn't it? What, 94? Right about the time the truckload of sod arrived. And that was...
That's when it peaked out. The sod got here.
That was warm. Thank you for coming. Bring your group down for Dinosaur Adventureland. Teachers, bring your students for a field trip. Thank you for the group for Cocoa Beach from coming. Came and got here just in time. Half hour later, trailer full of sod shows up, and how many got dirty unloading all the sod? There you go. Good. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. You really squeezed all the girls into cabin 6. Is that what happened? Are you up all over the loft and everything else? And okay. And is there like a counselor in there going to have to put up with all the noise? No. Okay. The counselor is in a different cabin. I can see. Let me get my crystal ball, okay. I foresee a problem. Gee whiz, thank you for coming. We have about 100, it should be more like 1,000 small projects need done around here. If you want to help, thank you. We'll give a long list to everybody tomorrow. You won't believe. First of all, we'll take you on a tour and see what we've done. And you're going to say, wow, this is cool. Then we're going to say, now here's what needs to be done. Get to work. We got lots to do. Jeff, you've been here, what, a year and a half now? And
yes, sir.
What about the changes here?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Unreal.
And it's very fulfilling.
It is fulfilling.
See it happen.
Volunteers, people coming from all over the place to help us build this place, and donations, and it just right on time. If you have any cool items or collections you want to donate or loan to DAL, we'd like to get all kinds of stuff. We're going to have a whole section on man and dinosaurs, day 6, when God made man and animals. We want some things to show the ingenuity of man, like the knot collection, all the different knots. No animal in the world does anything similar to that. We're not just an animal. We're created in God's image. There's much difference between man and animals. Okay, if you'd like to help us stay open for free, join our 777 Club. Steve, a guy called me today and said, I've been trying to click that button. I clicked and clicked and nothing happened.
What button?
To join the 777 Club.
They click the donate button.
Donate button.
The yellow donate button.
Oh, I bet he clicked the circle button.
I don't know how to do it. Okay, but it's working. Yeah, okay.
The yellow donate. Not
The yellow donate button, okay. Like one lady brought her computer back in, she said, the cup holder broke. It was the little DVD holder, Oh well. Somebody said, they texted back to tech support and said, it says press any key, and I don't see an any key on my keyboard. An any key. Yes, sir.
Forget to mention the fireworks.
Oh yeah, fireworks. If you want to help with that, come on down July 3rd, the day before. Have a fireworks display if you want to donate to help buy some or bring some down. This is Alabama. You got to have redneck fireworks in Alabama. Okay.
We can invite the community?
Sure, anybody can come, yeah. Well, tonight we'll take you guys up on the sand dune. You're going to say, oh my. You live in Cocoa Beach or near there, right? Some of you probably never seen the stars in your life. I mean, you're going to see them tonight. I'm talking about, wasn't that cool last night? We went up there and said, oh my. Wow. Remind me to get my laser pointer to show the stars. Okay, point them out. All right. If you'd like to help us join our 777 Club, make any checks to CSE. Okay, we have boot camp coming up in 3 weeks. Panic time. We got lots to do around here. Dennis Swift will be speaking about the Ica stones. For those not familiar with this, Ica is a place in Peru, South America, where they found so far 50,000 stones, all different sizes, some as big as this desk, most of them about football size, with all kinds of things carved on them. They were found from the 1530s when the Spanish first went in there. Here's an example of one of them. About 500 of them have dinosaurs on them with people. And the stones were made like 1,500 years ago. Now, you kids are probably being taught in school that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. This is just plain baloney. God said he made everything in 6 days. That's in the 10 Commandments. In 6 days, the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Well, if he made everything in 6 days, guess what? Dinosaurs lived with man. They did not live millions of years ago. We'll have Q&A time tonight. We can talk more about that if you'd like. But one of the hundreds of evidences from history that man has lived with dinosaurs is the Ica stones, and Dennis Swift is probably one of the world's experts on that topic. He's been down there a bunch of times to Peru, interviewed all the people. They find them in tombs. They used to bury the people, the Ica people, after they died, sitting up, wrapped in a blanket out in the desert. And they dig a big pit, put them in there, put stuff from their life in there with them, and that was their, and because it never rained. It's only rained twice in 400 years in that desert. And so they dig a big pit, put them in there, and put all their living stuff in, the stuff they lived with, including pictures on these stones of things from their life. And 50,000 of them have been found. Now, in Peru, if you sell the national treasure, you go to jail, and nobody wants to go to Peruvian jail, okay? That's where you die in there. So they interviewed one farmer who found and sold a bunch of these things, and right behind the camera, interviewing the guy, was 2 Peruvian police officers going to arrest him if he said, yes, I'm selling the national treasure that I find out in my field. He said, oh, I carved these things. So he lied to save his own skin, and that atheists are having nuts spreading that lie all over the place. Oh, those aren't real, those are fake. This farmer admitted he's carving them. Well, I don't think the farmer was around in 1535 when the Spanish conquistadors reported these things. All for the last 400 years they've been finding these things. It's true, the farmer carved a couple, but he didn't carve 50,000 of them. He's busy farming. The guy can't even read. And he tried to carve a couple. He tried to carve a couple on camera to show he's carving them. It looks like child's play compared to these things, which are cool.
He found 50,000 on his own farm?
No, so a total of 50,000 have been found. Okay. One doctor down there, Dr. Cabrera, who died last year or a couple of years ago, he had a huge collection of like 12,000 of them in his place in Peru someplace. Dennis will tell you all about it. Yep.
Can you show some slides of some of them besides those, like more?
I'd have to go to a different PowerPoint, but
Does 10% of them have dinosaurs on them? Or?
about 500 out of 50,000, so 1% would have dinosaurs on them. All kinds of things carved on there from normal life, you know.
And why would they put a dinosaur on there if there wasn't a dinosaur?
Why would they put a dinosaur if they hadn't? And the dinosaurs have circles on the side of the dinosaur.
Can't tell what that is.
Can't see it on here. Let me go ahead and call it up. Well, the whole issue of dinosaurs is angers the atheists because that's their play toy. You know, that's how they get kids to believe in evolution before the kid can even read. It's their favorite tool to brainwash kids. I like dinosaurs. My website's drdino.com. This is my phone number is 855-BIG-DINO. We like dinosaurs. Our place is Dinosaur Adventureland. I'm coming there, okay? So, but dinosaurs did not live millions of years ago. God made everything in 6 days, like he said. Okay, here is Ica, Peru, ICA, right next to the desert. That is the driest desert in the world. It's only rained twice in 400 years. This is the same place where they find the white lines, where they piled up the white rocks for half a mile sometimes. How many of you have ever heard of the Nazca lines? It's the same place where they find the Nazca Desert, N-A-Z-C-A. They have all kinds of strange things, huge images that you wouldn't know what they were except from a satellite. You couldn't even see it. Some of them go right up to a mountain and then start again on the other side of the mountain. Exactly dead straight line. On the other side of the mountain. They find all these strange images, including one which is a huge spider, 150 feet long, this spider that they made out of this white stone they piled up in the sand. The strange thing about the spider, it has no eyes, and the third leg on the right side is longer, sticks way out to here. There's a name for this spider. What is this? Some kind of Rinsinui spider, okay? It's one of the rarest of all the spiders in the world. It's only 1/8 of an inch long, and it's blind. And it lives in caves 1,000 miles away in the Amazon jungle. Now, how did they know to make this spider over there in Ica, Peru, 1,000 miles away?
Does it have naturally the odd leg?
It lives in caves.
Yes.
It is blind. It has no eyes. And during mating season, the third leg on the right side grows longer, and that's how they exchange DNA off the tip of that leg. Not only did they know about 1/8 of an inch long, extremely rare spider, they knew how to accurately depict it. When they first found this, somebody thought, oh, these are a bunch of stupid natives. They forgot to put the eyes on it. No, they were doing exactly what they saw. Okay? 1535, the Spanish came in there. They mentioned back to the king about Ica, they said, there are some stones with strange animals on them. We've never seen these kind of animals. Now, if you look at this whole thing from a Christian perspective, dinosaurs always lived with man. They're just part of the normal creation. Noah would have taken them on the ark, probably babies. Just be sure to get a pink one and a blue one. And after the flood, they would have died off, most of them, from either the new climate. If you look at where's my chart showing the ages of the people? Here we go, right here. The Bible says, before the flood came, the people lived to be 900 years old. That's Genesis chapter 5. That's what it says. And there are hundreds of flood legends of people talking about this big flood in the days of Noah. And there are dozens of legends of what's called the Golden Age. Cultures all over the world, we showed some the other night, they say, you know, man used to live to be 1,000. Why would there be so many stories about a Golden Age? Well, maybe because man used to live to be 1,000, or nearly. According to the Bible, it was 900. And reptiles never stop growing. Even today, reptiles never stop growing till they die. So reptiles during this time frame would get 40, 50, 60 feet long. That's the age of dinosaurs with Adam and Eve. Noah took them on the ark. After the flood, though, you see the dates in the Bible show clearly that lifespans shortened to 400, then 200, then 100. Something changed because of that flood. Bring it up during Q&A if you'd like. But I think dinosaurs died off two problems. Man was hunting them and killing them, but they didn't call them dinosaur, they called them dragon. The word dinosaur was just made up in 1841, so they wouldn't call them that. 1,000 years ago, there was no word. Somebody said, dinosaurs not mentioned in the Bible. Well, computers aren't mentioned in the Bible either, okay? They were invented after the Bible was written. But the strange creatures that were found carved on these stones. Here's Dennis Swift holding one. There, Dennis and I. There, okay. These Nazca burial stones. Dr. Cabrera, who just died here a couple years ago, collected them and wrote. Now, he believed in evolution. But he wrote extensively on the Nazca burial stones. He said, and he lives there. He's Peruvian. He said the Nazca civilization was 300 BC to 800 AD. So for about 1,100 years, the Nazca civilization thrived there. Some of them show people doing brain surgery on these stones. See, he found copper tools. Dennis will tell you all about this. They found copper tools that is hardened copper that is sharper than a razor. They could do surgery with copper tools sharper than a razor. And he can tell you all about that. They show somebody with a peg leg amputation and survived it. Here they are, some of the stones with the dermal frills on the dinosaurs. This is Dr. Cabrera's collection. I believe he had 12,000 of them. This one farmer is not carving 12,000 stones. Dr. Ball he's more than two now. He's in Glen Rose, Texas. If you want to call Dr. Ball, or Dr. Patton has some stuff in Garland, Texas, stuff on these stones. Let's see, this one shows the Triceratops, the Stegosaurus, Ankylosaurus. Now, keep in mind, to the average evolutionist, this is impossible. This cannot exist, and they have to deny it or explain it away. It can't be true because it violates their theory. See, the way a theory is supposed to work is you look at all the evidence and then make your theory. But they've got a theory of evolution first before they look at the evidence. So this is stuff from the Echo Stone. Here's one I had in my museum in Pensacola, Florida. Still there. We're going to try to get that back. But showing a guy holding a guy by the head. This one shows a dinosaur with his head cut off. Apparently, it's trying to depict this guy killed the dragon because the dragon killed his friend, and that would be the friend's body and the friend's head. That's the most reasonable interpretation of what that means. You're killing the dragon for killing his buddy, because vengeance is fine, saith the Lord. Or something like that. Here's a guy jabbing one through the neck. Apparently, it's probably a battle. He's biting his headdress, might be some kind of symbol for, his authority. But this guy's jabbing a spear down the throat of the dinosaur. This guy, the dinosaur, dragon's got him by the arm, and his spirit is departing into heaven, is what most people think that one means. This guy's jabbing a knife in the top of the head of one. Many of them show circles on the side, which is very strange. That's me in my younger years, from 20 years ago. Have I aged? Don't answer that, okay. They show the circles on the side of these. This is Dr. Ball's museum. Why would they put circle patterns on the side on these stones? Well, it's interesting. Just 20 years ago, for the first time ever, they found fossilized dinosaur skin.
Or else it's made a target.
Well, a target, yeah. But the circles had circles on the side. The skin, apparently, there's some of the skin right there, had these circles on the side. One most logical theory is this is a heat sink. Reptiles can't maintain body heat like you and I can. Alligators go out and lay in the sun to get warm, don't they? They have spots on their body that absorb the heat more to help warm them up. Reasonable interpretation. Anyway, there's a guy cutting the head off of one, a guy riding one. I don't know which ones Dr. Swift is going to bring. There's a guy apparently petting one, so it looks like they could be made as like our lizards. Can a lizard be made friendly? Well, wait till you see our little three-horned Jackson chameleon. He comes to me because I grab him around the neck, say, come here, and he comes. They find pottery. Here's the way they would bury the people in Ica down there from, 1,500 years ago, sitting up with a blanket wrapped around them. The blanket oftentimes has dinosaurs on it. Dr. Swift will bring some. But this is amazing fabric. These blankets have, let me get it here, good thread today, good clothing today has about 80 to 100 threads per inch, called TPI. How many threads are there per inch? The record Nazca fabric has 696 threads per inch. Nearly 700 threads per inch. That's fine fabric. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so dinosaurs. Let me close that out and go back to where I was. Q&A, slide number 17.
Dr. Cabrera published a book with a picture of all the ones that he had.
Dr. Cabrera published a book, and the book is in here someplace if you want to look at it. It's in Portuguese, or no, not Portuguese, Peru.
Spanish or Portuguese.
That would be.
Does it have the pictures of it?
Yeah, it has a bunch of his books in here somewhere. I can't read any of it, but Peru would be Spanish. Brazil would be Portuguese. Who cares? They do, but I don't. Okay, Dennis, Paul Abramson's going to be speaking about the flood legends. Why would there be 330 flood legends? Because there was a flood. That's why. And then Dr. Boyes will be speaking on he's a genius. Okay, we need some more license plates. Here is what our license plate-osaurus looks like at night. Wow. I went out 4 this morning with the flashlight and said, let's show you what this looks like. Is that cool or what? I'm sure the satellites cruise by over Dinosaur Adventureland and say, oh no, there's a dinosaur down there.
How tall is it from the ground to the head?
How tall from, I don't know.
Wow.
I would be guessing 45 or 50 feet, probably. It's on the side of the sand dune. We'll show you guys that tonight when we go see the stars. Okay. But we need more license plates to fill it in. If you want to help, we need probably, I think that's 500 license plates on there right now, so we need a lot more.
Did anybody find the box that was down by the pavilion?
I think those guys that left this morning that were here for 3 days, the guy and his son, they put on all that we found.
Okay.
And they looked down there.
Okay.
This is our Junkosaurus, made out of a bunch of junk metal welded together. And here is the long neck Liftosaurus at 4 in the morning. You can climb it if you'd like.
There's no cargo net.
There's
yet.
no cargo net under it. If you fall, the ground will stop you eventually. But we now have these dermal frills up the legs, and we're putting the pulleys up under the neck to have a long neck. It'll be ready in the next couple days. Yes, ma'am? What is it going to be?
Good question.
We don't know.
Yes, we do.
We do? We really don't have a plan around here.
Depends what it evolves into.
We eat a lot of pizza with peanut butter on it late at night, and then you wake up at 2 in the morning with really cool ideas. Like, whoa. Actually, this is going to be a swamp swing where you have a bunch of ropes hanging down, and you have to swing from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. But if you're holding still on one rope hanging there, you cannot reach any more ropes. They're far enough apart where you can't reach them. So the lesson we teach is, you start on rope 1, you swing over and grab rope 2. But before you let go of 1, pull yourself back to build up momentum, and then swing over and you can grab 3. Lesson learned, sometimes in life, you have to have memories to go back and remember how God helped you before in order to help you keep going. The swamp swing. And then under the neck of the dinosaur is the double pulley, the block and tackle. There'll be a swing set seat down here. You sit in there and you pull yourself up. And we'll teach the mechanics of how pulleys work. This will be a 4-to-1, the way we'll arrange it. So you get 4 times the power. You pull 10 pounds, it lifts 40. And whoever can pull themselves up the fastest will get their name on the record board. Downstairs, we'll show you that tomorrow. But we teach how mechanics works depending on the age level of the students, okay? If you pull 10 pounds, it lifts 40. But you never get something for nothing. No machine gives you something for nothing. It trades you. In this case, it'll trade you distance and speed for power. You pull 10 pounds, it raises 40, but you got to pull in 4 feet to raise it 1 foot. And you got to pull 40 miles an hour to raise it 10 miles an hour. So you lose speed and distance, but you gain in power. There are mechanical advantages that are less than 1, where you pull, 1 inch and it lifts at 10 inches. But you got to pull 1,000 pounds to lift 100 pounds. So mechanical advantage. We'll talk about all that. Okay. Tell your friends and enemies to subscribe to our channel and Dinosaur Kent Hovind Official. By the way, we're looking for people who believe in evolution to do more debates anytime. I did 3, last week, Steve, was it? The 3 debates? Week ago.
You got one tomorrow.
We got one tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, okay. Yes? Is it going to be, is it going to be here, Steve?
We'll
Here we
try to
go.
do it here.
Yeah, because these kids might want to see it.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's going to be able. We'll try.
Okay, it depends on the internet.
Hi, you're welcome to come.
We'll try here. But
Okay, we can see if we can get it set up for here. Just got the internet out here. They just got electricity in Lennox about 3 days ago. Okay. When I got the property, they said, man, that place is so far out in the sticks, they have to pump in the sunshine. They said, now the moonshine flows freely around there, but the sunshine, they got to pump that in. So that's what they told us. Okay, a Kudzuosaurus, we got to build that thing, and here's our science center next door. We are right here upstairs right now. Steve, if we get an overflow crowd like this, we may want to consider putting a TV screen outside and go under this canopy.
yeah,
We'll get more chairs and stuff. We got a little packed and a little warm in here. Tomorrow we'll give you the tour of the whole place. Everything has a science lesson with a spiritual application. And we'll take the tour on the 4-wheeler. And I would be you better be thinking and praying about it, because I'm going to ask you the question: do you want the grandma tour or the real tour?
The real tour.
You sure? Who was it? Where's brother? How did was it your grandmother?
Yeah,
How old is she?
she's 71 now after that tour.
71. Okay.
No, she's 60.
How did she like the grandma tour once she dropped her coffee cup and hung on for dear life? And
We'll talk about it.
she didn't talk about it, but she's still shaking.
Still shaking.
She'll be okay eventually. All right. I have a whole stack of questions to answer, but I want to get you guys in the room first, you students. Any questions you have or topics you want to discuss around the creation evolution theme. I taught high school science, algebra, geometry, trig, earth science, biology, and physical science for 15 years in high school. And I've done 170 debates now, 171 tomorrow. And I defend the position that the Bible is true. Just like it's written. God made the world in 6 days. And it was only about 6,000 years ago. It cannot be billions of years old for lots of reasons, and we cover all that. Now, you guys are probably being taught in school, and in the textbooks, the Earth is billions of years old. Certainly that's the stuff we see in the propaganda machine, the news media. But if you would like to, any questions from the crowd here?
My question is this, though. How do we account for the unique animals of Australia that don't appear any other
Okay,
place?
how do you account for the unique animals in Australia? Let's see, okay. I think the question has a built-in assumption that the world then was like it is today and Australia would be separated. Let me see if I can get up to that right one here. Today, of course, the Earth is 70% underwater and only 30% is land. And to get to Australia, you have to cross over a bunch of water. That's today. Before the flood, I don't think it was that way at all. I don't think the world at that time bears any resemblance to what we see. Because after the flood, the Bible says in Psalm 104, the mountains arose, the valleys sank down. So during the flood, Noah was in the ark for a year. The rain was only 40 days and 40 nights, but he was in that boat for a year. The water kept coming up for 150 days. So on my video number, let's see, here we go. Well, flood legends. Yeah, let me just start here. If you watch seminar part 3 called Dinosaurs in the Bible, you can get my whole seminar series for $50. It's 18 hours long. And you can watch it and copy it and return it and get your money back. I used to...
Are you healthy if you're volunteering?
Yeah.
You get free stuff.
I used to loan my videos out, but I learned right away that Christians don't steal, but they borrow and never return. Okay. Here's the country of Turkey today. Over here at the corner is a mountain range called the Mountains of Ararat, right near the Armenian border, which is right near Iran and Iraq, a very politically unstable area. Okay, not a safe place to go visit right now. On a Turkish... What?
We could take them, let's go.
We could take them, yeah. On a Turkish map, the name of it's named right there, Noah Ungumshi, which means Noah's big boat. It's right on the Turkish map. They've got signs, drive right to it. Drive to Noah's Ark, okay, if you go over that way. The Bible says the ark rested in the 7th month upon the mountains, plural, mountains of Ararat. I think it is very unlikely if the water's going down or the mountains are coming up, has the same effect. It's unlikely for a floating object to land on a mountain. Put a sponge in your bathtub and bring your knee up under it and try to get it to land on your knee.
Sorry.
It is probably going to drift off to one side or the other, right? So there are 4 theories about Noah's Ark that I cover on my video 3. Number 1, they say they took it apart, it's gone. They used the lumber. Number 2, it rotted, it's gone. Number 3, it's still on the mountain. Or number 4, it's down in the valley. I take the position that it's number 4. I don't think it's likely to land on a mountain, especially since that is a volcano, which still goes off once in a while. I don't think you're going to find an ark on there. Yes, sir.
You know a lot more about it than I do, but the finding of Ron Wyatt that he found that
That's, I'm going to show you right now.
Okay.
In 1960, Life magazine ran an article about one of the spy planes from America flew over there and took a bunch of pictures. And they said, what is this boat-shaped object right there? It's the middle of a mud flow / lava flow. Sometimes it's lava, sometimes it's mud, because Mount Ararat's covered with ice. So if the volcano blows, it melts the ice and you get a mixture of lava and mud and flows down this valley. So this mud flows there, got this weird thing in the middle of it. In 1978, there was an earthquake, and either it popped up or the ground fell down. Doesn't matter, the result's the same. It's now sticking up out of the ground 20 feet. There it is right there. So many people have gone in there and studied that. Ron Wyatt, you're talking about, WyattMuseum.com, did extensive research on there. He said, look, this is Noah's Ark. Some of the skeptics pointed out that when mud or lava flows around an obstacle, like a rock, it'll make a teardrop shape with a point. Well, that's correct. This one, the point is going uphill. If mud is flowing around an obstacle, the point goes downhill. This is not a mud flow around an obstacle, okay? Richard Reeves took over for Ron, and he now runs the ministry just up north of here in Cornersville, Tennessee, right on I-65. They say the boat has collapsed on itself and folded out to the side. It's much wider than it used to be. Ron went over there, there's Ron, and did radar scans. They use subsurface radar. You drag this sled along and it sends a radar signal and maps out what's it seeing down under the ground. And they said, man, there are deck timbers down there. And it's all laid out symmetrically. All this is in Ron's book on the topic. There on the side of the hill, you can see some of the ends of the rib timber sticking out. They're still sticking out today. They went through there and they mapped when they got a grid pattern. They laid yellow tape lines on here of things that they found underground, indicating this is a building. It was built with rooms in it, which is what the Bible says, not cages, but rooms. They found many iron rivets there, huge rivets. Apparently, they would drill through the wood, the timbers, put a rod through there, put a big washer over it, heat it up, and smash the ends so it would curl it out like a pop rivet. Same principle. And there are rivets there. Ron's got them at the museum up there in Cornersville, Tennessee. They took a piece of the petrified wood, sawed it. I forget how many saw blades it said it ruined. Extremely hard. And they said, this is 3 layers of wood, almost 5 inches thick. That'd be heavy-duty plywood. 5-inch thick plywood, pretty tough. Here's the Cornersville Wyatt Archaeological Museum, if you want to go up there and see it. When you're going north from here on 65, you get to exit 22 or 27. It's a converted gas station on the northwest corner, right on I-65.
Why are there different, why are there only...
Why not Australia? Yeah.
And why, how did they get stranded in Australia? You know, there used to be a passage, now there's none.
Right. Well, the ark landed in the mountains of Ararat, okay, in Turkey. That's where it landed. The Bible says God told Noah to build a boat and all the animals will come to you. He didn't have to go get any of them. It says clearly they will come to you. And if the earth before the flood was all land, no big oceans, just seas. So let's pick a number. Let's say it was 90% land, and it was perfect climate all the time. All the animals lived in all the places. So the kangaroos lived near the ark, as well as the penguins. All of them lived in that area. God just told two babies, go to see Noah, and they got on the ark. After the flood, they got off and spread out. Now, why are there only kangaroos in Australia today? That would be different than asking the question, how did they get to the ark? How did they get to Australia from the ark? I think is a more legitimate question. Here we go. Kangaroos in Australia. This will answer the question. If you watch my video number 6 called the Hovind theory, how did the kangaroos get to Australia? Well, if the earth was covered in water, during the last part of the flood, the last few months, the mountains arose, the valleys sank down, the water would rush off. And it's an interesting factoid of earth science. Nearly all the mountain ranges follow the coastlines. Appalachian Mountains follow the Atlantic. And Rocky Mountains follow the Pacific. The Andes Mountains follow the South Pacific. Even the Alps follow the Mediterranean. A small section would have sunk in. But I think the mountain ranges and coastlines formed at the same time because of the same thing. The crust of the earth tilted and shifted. If we filled this room 4 feet deep in water and then lifted up this end of the building, the water would rush down there and it'd be 8 feet deep, and this would be now exposed out of the water. All the water's still here. It's just now rearranged. Deeper there, shallower here. The water from Noah's flood is still here. The Pacific Ocean is huge. I flew back over to Pacific one time from Australia. I told one of the guys in my office, I said, man, that ocean is huge. He said, oh, that was just the top of it. There's enough water in the oceans right now to cover the earth 1.5 miles deep everywhere. 8,000 feet. Plenty to drown in. Okay, but here's the, if you lowered the oceans just a few hundred feet, this would be the beach line. Ireland and Scotland would all be part of France, making the British very upset. Yeah, okay. Here's a satellite view. You can see right through it. The water's not very deep around there. It's real shallow. Between Russia and Alaska, the water's only 60 feet deep. That's the width of this building. For 60 miles, it's only 60 feet deep. If you lowered the oceans about 100 feet, there'd be a land bridge 1,000 miles wide connecting Russia and Alaska. If you raise the ocean levels just a few hundred feet, all this area would fill in. Minnesota is only 1,000 feet above sea level. 1,000 feet. What's that? From here to Jeff's house. Your cabin down there. That's so the earth is.
If the water level would go down 1,000th of a percentage of the thickness of the earth from the core, change
everything's connected. If you lowered the ocean just a few hundred feet, and they average 12,000 feet deep, if you took out 300 feet of water, you could walk over to Cuba. Probably during after the flood, the mountains rose, the valleys sank down, the water rushed in, it made the oceans, but there's still going to be ice caps melting back for a few hundred years, because the ice would have come down to Kansas City, Missouri during the flood. And I cover all that in video 6. But if the ocean starts to get deeper and deeper, now it's going to backfill, it's going to spill in backwards and carve out this valley between Cuba and Florida and fill the Gulf of Mexico. If you lowered the ocean just a few hundred feet, this is the beach right here. Now you guys in Cocoa Beach, let's see, how's the... You can walk out probably 100 miles before it gets 300 feet deep. Right?
20 miles out in 20 feet.
20 miles out, it's 100 feet deep. 100 feet, I mean, from here to my house.
Show Indonesia and Australia.
I'm getting there. So, Mobile Bay, Pensacola Bay are huge. They're 7 feet deep. When the hurricanes come in, if the wind is blowing the right way, it pulls all the water out. And you can walk across. 7 feet deep, the bay. Now, between Vietnam and Australia, the water is extremely shallow. This was a real problem in here during World War II. it wasn't deep enough for the submarines to hide in. You try to sneak your sub in there and your antenna sticks up out of the water. Where's that sub? I'd say right about there. They couldn't even hide their subs. The water's not deep enough. Hovind theory. After the flood, for the next 100 years or so, this was all connected. The oceans were lower because the ice caps were bigger. If you enlarge the ice caps, it lowers the ocean level. And it would take a few hundred years for that much ice to melt back. There are icebergs right now floating around that'll take 5 years to melt. You get enough ice in one spot, it refrigerates itself, stays cold for a long time. So during this time, the first 100 years or so after the flood, the less aggressive animals, like kangaroos, wombats, koalas. How long would a koala last in a fight with a tiger or a lion?
2 seconds.
2 or 3 seconds maybe, right? Okay. So the ark landed here. Over the next 100 years, just to pick a number, the animals would take off from the ark and spread out and have their families, and there would be a migration wave away from that area. The less aggressive animals are constantly driven out because they'll give up their territory rather than fight. Kangaroos and the marsupial animals are less aggressive, so they're going to be moving away over generation after generation. They have to spread out. People say, why don't we find kangaroo fossils over here? How many animals died in the last 10 years in the world?
Millions.
Hundreds of millions. How many fossilized? None. Animals don't fossilize unless they're buried quickly. No fossils are forming today at all, or certainly not significant numbers. So all the fossils we find are probably from the flood. Since then, all the animals that have died are not going to fossilize. It's a no-brainer. So if there was a migration wave and the kangaroos are moving out or being killed, or some of them being killed, the rest saying, let's get out of here, you're not going to find the fossils. If an animal dies today, what happens to it?
Scavengers and the
It gets scattered all over the woods. The coyotes grab some, the buzzards grab some, the ants. You're not going to find all the bones together articulated in position. It's scattered everywhere.
definitely never going to find any skin.
Right. So, of course you're not going to find, it's not going to be evidence of a migration wave with fossils. They would only be evidence of rapid burial in a flood. So, the continental shelf then is probably because that there's the continental shelf. The ocean used to be lower, smaller, because the ice caps were bigger. And I point out that the mountain ranges follow the coastlines. Because as the ice caps melt back and the crust of the earth is still unstable today, tilting and shifting around, the flood geology is the only explanation that makes any sense. The Bible says in 2 Peter chapter 3, during the last days, the scoffers who scoff at the Bible would be willingly ignorant of the creation and the flood. That flood explains all the geology that we see. I take people on tours here at Dinosaur Adventureland, and I talk about the tides. Tide goes up and down. What's the tidal change there in Cocoa Beach? 5, 6 feet,
Depending on time of the month.
Okay, if it's spring tide, sun and moon pulling together, 5 or 6 foot,
6 or 7 feet.
6 or 7 feet, okay. Neap tide, if the sun and the moon are fighting, probably 4 feet, right? Right now, the tide starts building up. As the moon pulls the water up, the earth is spinning, and the tide bangs into something like South America or Africa, and it gets interrupted. If there were no continents to stop it, if the earth were covered in water, the tides would become harmonic. You musicians know about harmonic. You pluck one string and 3 more start vibrating down the keyboard or down the guitar. Well, a harmonic tide on the earth, if the earth were covered in water, the water would be up and down about 200 feet every 6 hours and 25 minutes. It would be a tidal change every 6 hours, except while we're spinning, the moon is also moving. So you end up with 6 hours, I think it's 6 hours and 25 minutes. Close enough, who cares? I lost interest. But now, think about it. If there was a 200-foot tidal change here in Lenox, Alabama, water comes up 200 feet, holds still for an hour, goes back down 200 feet. Where's all that water coming from to fill the bump? Sideways. At the same speed the Earth is turning. We are 31.3366 degrees north latitude. You can do the trig on that. We're turning 886 miles an hour right here. You guys in Cocoa Beach are probably a little more than that, probably 900 miles an hour. If the water's moving sideways at 900 miles an hour for a couple hours, what's that going to do? It's going to cause enormous erosion, especially if it's soft mud settled in the bottom. Things like Grand Canyon would be formed in days, not millions of years. If part of it was formed underwater especially. But it's going to take all the rocks and roll them against each other. How many have ever seen a rock tumbler before? A rock tumbler. You put a bunch of rocks in a rubber barrel and let it spin around and make noise for 2 weeks, and you pull them out and they're all polished and shiny rocks. The whole earth was a ginormous rock tumbler during Noah's flood. And you will see all over this property 400 trillion rocks that are rounded off. Gravel is rounded worldwide. Why would gravel be rounded? It's in a rock tumbler. Noah's flood. So, kangaroos and other animals ended up trapped in Australia by the rising water. And they were protected. And they would look across the water and go na-na-na-boo-boo to the tigers and, you can't get me. And so they have developed now, how many varieties of kangaroo are there? 30 or 40. There's all kinds of kangaroo, but they're still kangaroo. See, the Bible says they will bring forth after their kind, not species. So if there are 40 varieties of kangaroo, would that prove kangaroos are related to mosquitoes and whales and tomatoes? No. They're still the same kind of animal, a kangaroo. So that's the problem with the evolution theory. They're going to give the kids hundreds of examples of minor variations within the kind, like the 8 varieties of bears that we find. And they'll say, see, boys and girls, see how the bears have changed? There's 8 different varieties now. That proves we all had a common ancestor, which was an amoeba. It's a absolute propaganda brainwashing of the kids. It's sad. Other questions? Thank you for the kangaroo question. Yes, ma'am.
Is the Ice Age real and what happened during it?
The Ice Age, yeah, certainly there was an Ice Age. I covered that on video 6, okay? What about the Ice Age? There is overwhelming evidence from several fields of science that the Earth had ice all the way down to Kansas City, Missouri. Now, in Omaha, Nebraska, is there evidence of the Ice Age? That's okay.
We actually drill our water wells based on the Ice Age.
Okay.
Because it pushed all the gravel on one side of the hills.
Right. As ice is moving along, it plows ahead of it a pile of gravel and debris called a terminal moraine when it finally quits at the terminus. Along the sides, it makes layers of gravel called the lateral moraine, lateral for latissimus, on the sides. Okay. So there's distinctive, and all over Wisconsin, they build cities on top of these huge piles, and if you dig down, it's gravel, huge rocks under your house, okay? Moraines, terminal moraines. About 10...
Nebraska's known for having an ocean under Nebraska. There's an ocean under Nebraska.
An ocean under...
Ogallala Aquifer.
The Ogallala Aquifer, is that the one, or is that...
Yeah,
okay.
Huge amounts of gravel.
Yeah, it's stored in the gravel, right. So I don't think anybody's going to argue, yes, there was an Ice Age. The question would be when and how does this fit, okay? Today, 10% of the Earth is still covered with glaciers. That's a lot of property, 10%. During the last Ice Age, this textbook says from NOOA, which is, I forgot what that stands for, it doesn't matter.
Oceanic and atmosphere.
Oceanic and atmosphere, okay. They said during the last Ice Age, 32% of the land was covered with ice. Well, now hold it. Where'd all that ice go? Well, it melted back. If it went from 32% covered in ice, covering way down here to Kansas City, melts back, what's that going to do to the ocean level? Raise it a couple hundred feet. 75% of the world's fresh water are stored in glaciers right now. Antarctic ice is more than 2.6 miles thick in some places. If all the land ice melted today, sea level would rise about 230 feet. I think Lenox is 350 feet above sea level, so we would be close to getting beachfront property.
Wow.
Yeah. Then the value of Lenox property would go up. Right, okay. We don't need that. Yes?
Do you want me to go get the cube that shows how magnetic particles gravitate to the poles?
Not yet. Let's finish. It's a little off topic from the question, but in the tour tomorrow, you guys see the thing about the magnetic field, okay?
And the crystalline canopy.
And the crystalline canopy. There's no question there was an ice age, but when was it? And the ice sliding different directions, generally away from the magnetic North Pole. I think the Earth, stronger magnetic field back then, the canopy above would collapse and be dumped on the poles. We'll cover that when we get into Q&A tomorrow. Ice, as it pushes out, it leaves behind a pile of gravel, a terminal more rain. Sometimes they're huge. I mean, thousands of square miles, and that's the Ogallala Aquifer. Now it's covered up with sediments, and it stores a lot of water in that gravel. You drilled, how deep you got to drill to hit it?
80 foot is a pretty deep well.
80 feet is a deep well.
Yeah.
I remember in Groveland, Illinois, south of Peoria, where I built my house, we put in a shallow well. The guy came out with a drill bit like 3 foot diameter. He's going to drill a 3 foot hole in the ground, huge drill bit, and then put in 2 foot casing and put the gravel on the outside and the well on the inside. He drilled down 3 feet, and the water started rushing in so fast. He kept drilling and drilling, and the water was pouring in. He finally put a sleeve down in, big huge pipe, and drilled inside the sleeve and let the sleeve fall down as he drilled. He got down 30 feet. He said, I cannot keep up. We're going to have to cap it off right here. I had a 30-foot well and all the water I wanted. My brother built his house next door in Groveland, Illinois, and he drilled down 75 feet and didn't hit a drop. He used to take my well and pump his well full of water.
Oh, you can go 300 yards away and you have to drill
You never, it's a,
500 feet. The sand is just dumped in lines.
right, there was an ice age. I think, Hovind theory, the ice age coincides with Noah's flood. If the fountains of the deep broke open, like the Bible says, the water under the crust would come to the surface. The surface then would sink in a few hundred feet, causing the earth to speed up a little bit, because rock is denser than water. If an ice skater is spinning around and they pull their arms in tight, they spin faster. Stretch your arms out, you slow down. Divers all do that, tuck tight to spin fast. Well, if the earth were spinning 360 times during a year, maybe that's why we have 360 degrees in a circle, and 360 is used. During the flood, the water under the crust would come to the surface. The surface then would sink in the cavity, the gap it would form, the cavern, the word I'm looking for, and cause the earth to speed up a little bit. So now we have 365.2422 days per year. I'll show you what the Bible says on the topic. That's what I guess angers me, is the kids are taught, oh, the Bible's not a science book. Well, no, it's not written to tell you how to do heart surgery, but if it deals with the science topic, it is exactly correct. I've been studying it for 50 years. There are no scientific inaccuracies in the Bible. You think there are some? Let me know. The Bible says everything was made in 6 days. Well, that's the way it has to be. Plants are breathing in CO2, giving off oxygen. Animals breathe in oxygen, give off CO2. How long would the plants survive with no animals on the earth? They'd use up all the CO2. They reciprocate the gases. Bible says they're made a few days apart. No problem. Evolution says they're millions of years apart. Big problem. It's just not logical. Okay, what was the creation like? Let me get to that here.
There's the canopy.
Yeah, slide number 129. Alt-DV, 129, enter. Today's atmosphere that we're breathing has 6 layers to it. We live way down here in the troposphere where all of our weather takes place. But there's the troposphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere, ionosphere. Who cares? There used to be a 7th layer. It is now gone. According to the Bible, there was a layer of water or ice above the atmosphere. The canopy theory, I strongly believe in that. Other creationists do not. They're wrong. I'm right, okay? If you go straight up over your head right now, it's going to be 100 degrees day after tomorrow, they're predicting. When it's 100 degrees, go straight up 7 miles from here to Repton. Go straight up it'll be 100 below zero. Over the Sahara Desert, it's 100 below zero, 7 miles up. How many have ever flown across the ocean or on a long flight where they got the screen up on top, tells you outside temperature? You know, here's our speed, here's the wind speed. And we came back from Australia and the pilot came on, he said, folks, we are caught in the jet stream. We have a 200 mile an hour tailwind. We're going 750 miles an hour.
What was the temperature?
miles an hour.
Temperature was 100 below. So 100 below, 7 miles straight up all the time, okay? The Earth used to have a crystalline canopy overhead. It would be held up either by the magnetic field, like she'll show you tomorrow, or held up by air pressure, like a big inflatable building. But right there, all the air would be squeezed into maybe 7 miles instead of 60 miles like today.
Would we be able to see through that canopy?
Well, the Jews have always taught it was 2 to 3 fingers thick. If it was crystal clear ice, you would not only see through it, you would be like a magnifying glass. You would see even better. Tonight, when you go out and look at the stars, you're going to see they twinkle. Why? Well, that's because the light is being bent going through our atmosphere. Atmospheric twinkle, it's called. If the canopy would compress the air down tighter, it would increase air pressure. Breathing would be easier. Bigger insects could survive. You know, they find fossil dragonflies 50-inch wingspan. Couldn't possibly fly today. Yeah, we cover all that about the dinosaurs had small nostrils. They couldn't breathe in today's atmosphere. But they did breathe. I mean, we find the bones of them. So the canopy would be held up like an inflatable building or something like that. So this would then be dumped, floated like a magnetic, like the Japanese trains are maglev. Magnetic levitation is one option. Super cold ice is magnetic, okay? Super cold. It'll actually float on top of a magnet. So we're out of time. We cover all that in my seminar part 2. Get your questions ready for tomorrow night. We'll do the same thing. And after we get some sleep, after unloading all that sod, that was great. And we'll take the tour of the place. Did anybody get in the lake today? You guys all jumped in? Yeah. Now we have 10 lakes on the property, okay?
What?
10.
10 lakes?
The fishing is incredible. One of our guys caught a fish that far from the boat.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I want to go fishing
It's
now.
amazing. Yeah. Now, we did not check all the lakes, okay, but I'll show you the one tomorrow on the tour, the one up by the wedding gazebo. We know for sure the water goes all the way to the bottom in that lake, okay? Rich, you didn't check the other ones, did you? Not yet? 2 of them? Okay.
One's dry down there, it's weird.
One's dry at the bottom. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Some people today who we tried to take a tour and it was too hot, so I want to do a tour in the morning when it's cool in there.
8 a.m., cabin 1.
4 a.m. You're up.
No, 9 a.m.
Let me start. 8 a.m., cabin 1, breakfast. After breakfast, tour time. Okay?
Pancake.
All right. Pancakes, all right. With peanut butter on them, yeah, okay. All right, thank you all for coming to Dinosaur Adventureland. We got a long list of things to do around here, as always. If you want to bring your group down, bring a group down here. How many in your group here, guys?
There's 15 kids.
15 kids plus the adults and
7 adults. Yeah.
7 adults. Okay, so great. Thank you for coming. Yes, ma'am.
We need an HVAC guy to come and install the air conditioning unit.
Correct.
in the science
We have a
center.
3-ton and a 4-ton unit that were donated to us.
I think it was a 4 and a 7, wasn't it?
No, 3 and
people
4, I
are
think.
really uncomfortable in there.
We need to get HVAC installed. Come on down, put you to work. Okay, see you tomorrow. If you're not sure you're going to heaven, why don't you give me a call, 855 Big Dino, extension 3, and say, Brother Hovind, how do I go to heaven? I'll be honored to lead you to the Lord over the phone. And for our skeptic friends, I want you to notice this. Each of these layers takes millions of years to form.
So that will take billions of years to form.
Baloney. See you tomorrow. Bye.